A man is squatting on the ground, smoking a cigarette. His shirt is unbuttoned, revealing a view of a nasty paunch and a few tattoos on his body. He notices that it's very hot today. Across from him sits a girl who has her back pressed against the wall. She asks for a second fat man. If a person is standing next to her, do not smoke on her, otherwise the smoke will settle on her clothes. You did it yourself. A representative of the fair sex also smokes a cigarette, but uses chopsticks for this. The second boar calls him to silence in a very rude way. Events unfold in the toilet. Cigarette smoke suffocates the hero. The whole floor is spat on by these camels. Between two bandits, a short dialogue occurs. It turns out that one took a cigarette from the other, which angers the friend. However, the first one absolutely doesn't care about it. The hero also understands that he is in big trouble. Here, the bandit turns his head in the guy's direction. His friend, calling the girl a monkey, orders her to block the path of the teacher. If he does, it will come in. A representative of the fair sex notices that there is nothing worse than men's toilets. It doesn't stink. The hero also realizes that T-Sung is in a bad mood today. The fat man asks why the kid doesn't answer him. The hero starts to mumble something, realizing that he is Hana. The bandit says that now this ghoul is making a fool of himself, and then he starts summoning Pichaku. The hero turns out to be an even fatter and smaller guy than his two friends. The other person. After the fat man's command, he starts playing Pichaka. The girl stands up for you. For the boy, calling on a friend to stop this lawlessness. A foot is placed on the guy's head, and the bully encourages the guy to try even better to get used to the situation. Roll. The hero tries, but mentally notices that the other person's foot is wet. He suggests that it has been in the urine. No matter how hard the guy tried, however, the bully's foot hit him harder, forcing him to hit head against the toilet. After that, he said that he would pin the boy if he got caught again. Look the teacher in the eye. The bully presses the button, after which dirty water begins to flow from the urinal. Water that falls directly on the hero's head. He urges the bastard to stop it. He admits that he is in a real zoo of psychos. During this time in the classroom, students go about their business. The same bully enters the rubber man, striking him in the chest. The hero, he grits his teeth, falling to his feet. It's clearly hurting him. The guy who hit him claims that the first blow should fall on the solar plexus. Like now, because in this case, one blow, one body. The thin interlocutor notices that the kid really did fall. The big guy urges Pikachu to get up quickly. The hero flies up from the spot, responding in the style of one of the most famous Pokemon. The guys laugh, and the girl who came up to them decides to find out if this guy is right. The Pikachu kid, a representative of the fair sex, is also interested in how it turns out Park Hyun-suk, T-Sun's Pokemon. The latter specifies whether the girl wants him to demonstrate his skills, her Pokemon, after which the girl says that she wants to see a blow of 100,000 volts. The most famous Pikachu attacks. T-Sung gives a command to his Pikachu. Many people laugh, calling the hero a jerk, and that mentally understands that this was expected. Park Hyun-suk gets down on all fours and mimes that the very attack that many of Pikachu's enemies feared. Everyone laughs, and the hero wants to die. Shame. Classmates whisper to each other, insulting the boy in different ways, although on the other side of the screen. In fact, all of them are secretly happy that they are not in the place of the hero. Park Hyun-sung thinks about how it would have been different, like he's stronger. At that moment, the thin man, the kid, asked his brother for one request. A laughing T-Sung breaks away from the funny circuses, deciding to find out what's going on. The interlocutor asks to lend him his Pichaka for once. The bully immediately asks why the bro needs Pikachu. Park Hyun-suk silently hopes that this is not going to happen. It turns out that the skinny classmate has been in a relationship with Hee-jae for 100 days now. The hero moves on all fours throughout the school, carrying a bouquet of roses on his back. He continues, imitate Pikachu, and mentally wonders why he can't give them a decent performance. Rebuff. Others laugh. One guy doesn't understand how there are such people in the world. Another claims it's some kind of salamander. After some time, the hero gets to class number 4. There are 2 girls. One of them doesn't understand why he's crawling. The second one was spread out on 2 desks, sideways, greeting the fat man. As the beauty asks him what he wants, Park Hyun-suk thinks to himself, what's the matter? He notices that they can still see her panties. Breaking into a cold sweat, the hero nervously says that T-Sung asked him to show her something. The girls look closely at the fat man, waiting for his reaction. Park Hyun-suk tells everyone to go to hell. To himself, then congratulates on the 100th day of the relationship. taking out a bouquet of roses. Thea turns his back on them, bends down, and issues a biological attack. The face of beauty is skewed by this. The hero blushes, not finding a place for himself. A member of the fairer sex sits down on a desk, stating that she won't tell T-Sung about him, so he should stop doing this because it's a shame for Zvezdic. The fat man's view. It falls just below the middle of the girl, rushing under the skirt. Mentally, he understands that the fact that what was he most disappointed in himself about, even more than being humiliated. Girls, this is gratitude on the part of the girl for her despicable compassion. Evening comes. Park Hyun-suk is at home. From his room, he asks his mom if he's ready. Ramen. He's already dizzy from hunger. The woman replies that everything is already on the table. When he gets to the kitchen in just his underwear and a white tank top, he looks down at his plate. Angrily reminds him that he asked me to make a meal without eggs. After that, he still takes the chopsticks in his hand, starting to eat and noticing that this is Hyun-suk loudly says that it's so disgusting, although he privately notes that it's very tasty. After some time, the hero still decides to ask his mother if he can go to another school. The woman who previously washed the dishes is surprised by this question and then repeats him, trying to figure out what his son meant. The guy starts babbling nervously about how all the guys here are such nerds, so he's with his friends. Grades stand out a lot, so moving to a school as far away from this one as possible would be great. Not bad. The mother returns to washing dishes, becoming more serious. It states that I've always been able to handle the hardships myself, and you can't find a rental price like this anywhere else, so she's got a lot of money to spend on her own. Asks for forgiveness from her child. In addition, the woman emphasizes that if the son replaces go to school, then distance yourself from your friends. The word friends very strongly affects the beliefs of the hero. He clenches his fist, angry with himself. What's happening? He explodes from the spot and breaks into a scream, saying that he said that he wants to learn, so he doesn't need any friends. The mother breaks out in a cold sweat, not realizing that the son does. Park Hyun-suk asks if it's his fault that they live in poverty. The guy hits on the door, leaving the mark of his fist on it. After that, he locks himself in his room, hiding under the covers and begging my mom's forgiveness. He was angry with her, and he was only brave when he saw her. Before hiding in his room, he furiously asks what she's even meant to him. Maid. The woman falls out of reality from these words. Wrapped in 3 layers of blankets, the hero cries, asking forgiveness from the mother because he is just being bullied all the time. The guy is so mentally broken that he considers himself nothing but trash. The next morning, Park Hyun-suk goes to school. When he comes to her gate, he doesn't want to go there. Come in, because everything will start all over again. Then he notices that his arm is hurting from yesterday. Meetings with the wall. In his mind's eye, he declares that this is the hand of a true peasant, and then his gaze fleetingly passes on to classmates who are perplexed by this. Moving towards the building, the hero wonders if his hand might be full enough for this, although he's sure that even so, there's nothing he can do against T-Sung. About myself guy. He thinks it would be cool to become a martial artist and meet a stunning girl. A beauty. Then someone calls me Piggy. Park Hyun-suk breaks out in a cold sweat, swallowing the lump in his throat. On the back, a herd of goosebumps runs through. From a dark alley, someone says Piggy again. By this, the person turns out to be the same bully who smokes on the steps of the school. His lean. A friend shouts for the guy in the docile turbo pig mode to move towards them. The hero breaks down from his seat to the surprised looks of the surrounding people, and the countdown of hooligans. Mentally realizes that the morning is never good. After reaching the 2 guys, Park Hyun-suk, he takes a deep breath while T-Sung says that it would be nice for Tom to lose a few pounds. After all, he's quite the fatty. His companion silently emphasizes that he is too. Here on the hero's shoulder, the bully's hand falls. He asks if his first lesson is physical education. Getting a positive one. Answer. It encourages the guy to start getting out. All of it is being privatized by T-Seong. Park Hyun-suk smiles nervously, claiming to put it on his desk. He lied to my mother, saying that I lost it and bought a new one myself. At this time, in the teacher's room, the hero's mother communicates with the director. That asks why they are being transferred so suddenly. Sitting on a high chair, the woman is a little. She twitches, apologizing for never showing up here. She admits that she did. So reckless. The man sighs heavily. He says that it is unlikely that any school will be ready to accept her child with the current report card. Then he turns to the other woman. Running over a woman is very prickly. With a glance, he adds that it will cost a lot of money. Meanwhile, on the soccer field, Tae-sung hits the sword, aiming directly at Park Hyun-suk's head. He instinctively crouches down, avoiding a direct hit to the head and covering it with his hands. My friends laugh. One says that the little bastard dodged, and the second believes that it was quite possible. Expected. The hero trembles all over, realizing that he is already a dead man. Tae-sung reminds him that he told the guy not to dodge, then as if doubting it, asks others again. Then he clarifies that Park Hyun-suk's life is not precious at all. The last one, he doesn't understand how he can just stand there. Here the ball is taken by another guy, stating that now it was his turn. From the admiring exclamations of others, it becomes clear that this is Nesik, who is a member of a football club. At this time, 3 girls are sitting in the shade. Some people ask what the guys are doing there. My friend says that she doesn't know exactly, but it seems to be some kind of competition get in the face of a bumpkin. The first one thinks it's funny. Someone asks you not to do this. Nesik, meanwhile, is preparing to strike. He grins inwardly, noticing that the crowd is his own. Supports it. Someone says that they will report them for this, and the hooligans order everyone. Shut up. The football player hits the sword, sending it flying. Someone genuinely admires it. With a blow. The hero, on the other hand, instinctively sank down at the mere thought that death was so near. Down. The realization that if he was hit, it would be bad, made him act without hesitation. No extra thoughts. Unfortunately, the damn football player predicted that too. The ball was moving along a swirling trajectory and found the target in the form of the hero's face. A direct hit was unavoidable. At that point, more than the pain, even more than the broken glasses, what he was most sure of was that Parry Tae-seong lost. The football player picked up his t-shirt, starting to shout a victory cry, and someone from the schoolboy. He asked someone to stop him. Awareness of the approaching Trindits came quickly. Tae-sung walked over to his pen phone. I grabbed the Pokemon and held its head in a vise with one hand, asking if it was so difficult to get rid of its ball. Dodge it. At this time, one of the girls urged the guys to stop it. It was just sent, claiming that he had squandered all his money. In desperation, Park Hyun-suk stated that he would give him your own. The hero was ready to give all his savings to the bully, if only he did not touch him. Tae-sung asked the hero what he was talking about. The latter, nervously scratching the back of his head with his hand, reminded that the same one lost because of him. In his mind, the guy was already apologizing to his mom. They didn't have time. The guy came to his senses as he flew not a weak blow to the face with a palm. The bully called everyone. Look at this shit. Tae-sung felt that the fat man felt sorry for him, so he started prescribing. Slap after slap. Park Hyun-suk couldn't see much of anything due to the constant influx of palm strikes. The school kids watched in horror, not daring to interfere, but the last thing he noticed was how his mother ran out of the crowd of crooks, who was in a real rage. Spittle flying in all directions from anger, the woman no longer asked, but screamed like a wild animal. To the beast, Lee Hyun-suk is fine. The latter was still recovering, mentally wondering the question of why my mother is here. Then the woman switched to Tae-sung. She named him. Then she asked him why he was beating up Hyun-suk. The bully was covered in cold sweat. Then from such a phenomenon, standing in a stupor, the mother quickly returned to her son, starting to evaluate him. The status of that one. Tae-sung started to boil over, and the football player started to play nice. The girls are the same. They just laughed at the picture. One even remembered the famous phrase, "Let your mother hear it. Let your mother come." It was then that Park Hyun-suk began to realize what a mess he'd gotten himself into. Once, one of the hooligans decided to clarify the situation, saying that they were just playing. Instead, the hero's mom just roared in rage. The woman starts hitting Tae-sung, asking if it's a game in their opinion. The hero tries to calm her down, but it doesn't really work. He looks away nervously. My classmates laugh. One of them is even thinking about, should she post it on a social network? Grabbing Tae-sung by the shirt, the woman was ready to go with him to the teacher, because who is he? The kind to do this to her son. She wanted to know the man's name and punish him for it. All this time Park Hyun-suk was calling out to her, but in the end, he couldn't stand it anymore and broke down into a scream, calling on his mother to stop this farce because she is his capets as a disgrace. At this moment, the woman fell out of reality. She just didn't know how to react to this. The hero allowed it to doubt the only person close to him in the whole wide world. He turned to T. Sung-wi asked for forgiveness. He cringed all over at this, holding back a rush of anger. Park Hyun-suk, wing your enemy by asking your mom to just leave. In those seconds of his life, he considered himself the worst. From garbage. Late in the evening, the hero returned home. The light in the window was still on, but Park Hyun-suk wasn't counting that he could go home now, even though his stomach was clamoring for something to eat. Advertising flyers again, overflowing their box. The hero didn't even want to touch them. The guy remembered that his glasses were too. My mother bought it after they saved up enough money. He decided that the best thing to do was we can sneak into our room and eat something later. As soon as he opened the door and I was about to go to my private place when I heard my mother's voice behind me, checking whether he has returned. The hero turned to her nervously, scratching his head and asking if she had had dinner yet. Woman sitting on. She said they needed to talk. The guy couldn't refuse, so he sat down awkwardly, opposite my mother, waiting for the beginning. He was even afraid to imagine what she might do now. To say, the representative of the fair sex calmly told Hyun-suk to change the name. School. From such a guy abruptly woke up, looking up at the only person close to him. The woman realized that she was acting too rashly. She was always missing from work, so I couldn't be with him all the time, but he can live on his own. The guy doesn't. He understands why she suddenly decided to bring it up. Seeing my son's surprised look, his mother reminds him of his own words that he wants to study hard, so what are his friends worth? She put a special emphasis on the last word. Park Hyun-suk immediately knew that she knew the truth, and he didn't seem to notice at all. The woman noted that she will take care of all the financial nuances regarding his housing, so that the son should rely on his mother and change schools. After these words, the guy's head popped up. A huge number of words that somehow influenced his life. How will he live in? Alone? Will he have his own place to live? How is she going to do it without a penny to her name? So now he's getting rid of this T-Sung. He really wanted to run away, to ask for forgiveness from her mother and finally change schools. He was filled with mixed emotions, so it wasn't surprising that he started crying. His tears, they poured without stopping. He whimpered and apologized for his glasses. The woman asked for her own. The boy doesn't cry. Park Hyun-suk hated himself for pretending that he didn't see his mother's face. Didn't notice her burden and ran away from reality. The day came. The hero noticed that my mother really does not need to go with him, because she already has. I cleaned up. He assured her that he would not pick up any byakuya from the floor and would feed her properly. Learn hard. At the very end, the guy said that he could handle everything himself, after which I sincerely thanked him. After some time, he called his mother, saying that he had reached a new home, and that his mother was not about to leave. Nothing to worry about. While eating a boiled egg, the hero realizes that he has fallen into a budget business. School. It's not much, but it's better than it was. Park Hyun-suk wanted a fresh start. Thinking that this time he will have friends. Thus, he decided to leave instead. Overcome difficulties. Moving down the street to his new home, the guy was afraid that it would be some kind of shack. With these thoughts, he got to the right place, which really turned out to be quite another one. It was a wreck, but even so, Park Hyun-suk was glad, because he felt a refreshing feeling. Freedom. Turning his head towards the woman walking down the street, he greeted her in his mind. Then, he greeted the two pooches who were engaged in what he called romantic copulation. In this mood, even the road up the mountain seemed wonderful. Park Hyun-suk realized that no one here knows him, so now he cannot be afraid of his own. Tomorrow, he longed to be reborn, like a larva waiting 7 years to become a cicada. Now it's time for him to become a cicada. The decision to change brought the guy to the barber shop. A handsome young man was waiting for him there. After exchanging pleasantries, the hero mentally marveled at how great everything was here. Furnished, the guy asked the hero to sit on a chair, starting to ask questions about the hairstyle. I offered to do my hair with a bush. Park Hyun-suk didn't understand what it was at all, so I hurried to clarify. The interviewee explained that this is when the sides are shortened in order to give a neat look to the person, after which he added that many celebrities do this. The hero agreed to this suggestion, laughing nervously at the word star. The barber doesn't. I began to get into his soul, considering that he had his own reasons for this, so I just decided, go all out for him. During this haircut process, the fashion designer asked the guy, "Remove your glasses." The man replied that he had poor eyesight. The barber said that it was in vain, because his eyes are very beautiful. The young man advised the hero to wear contact lenses. When he finished, the surrounding girls were surprised by the young man's transformation. Human. Looking in the mirror, the hero only noted that without glasses, everything is very blurry. Fashion designer. He noted that he did his best, but he doesn't know if this hairstyle suits him or not. Thinking that he looked cool, Park Hyun-suk prepared to leave. The barber was covered in cold sweat. Then he blushed, hoping it wouldn't hurt. Representatives of the beautiful. They were already calling the police. Moving down the street in a new outfit, the guy felt the eyes of others, which, as he thought, they contemplated in holy awe. This was the first time he'd ever had this experience, so he figured it would be a good idea. It looks great. Then the people behind him started whispering, which made Park Hyun. Their expressions were filled with disgust. Having reached what mirror, the guy, I started admiring my reflection and realized that it really had changed. The hero raised his own small fists and somehow childishly began to box, thinking that he had become a little more active. Brutal. In his mind's eye, he imagined a dialogue with one of the hooligans. It is then that the hero feels someone's eyes on him. He looks around, breaking out in a cold sweat, blushing at the awkwardness of the moment. A girl with 2 pigtails and a phone is looking at him. She's wearing blue shorts and a yellow t-shirt with white stripes. Park Hyun-suk realizes that she's a beauty. I saw it all. But he reminds himself that he is unshakable because he is a cicada, and calm as if he were a bird. He's Bruce Lee. The girl wonders to herself what kind of mattress it is. The hero is smiling brightly at a stranger, trying to portray a tough guy, and at this moment the face of the girl rides in horror. She starts to shake nervously. Park Hyun-suk is surprised by that she was so shy. It is then that the hero is lowered from heaven to earth by a man's voice, which turns to the beauty and asks how long she waited. The girl's name is Mai Jin. A member of the fair sex nervously greets Jin Sung. This is a young man with not a bad figure. He wears a white cap, a matching t-shirt, and black pants that look like he's not wearing anything else. There is a continuation in the form of sports black leggings. He's wearing dark sneakers. Park Hyun-suk looks nervously at the new character, assuming it's her boyfriend. Jin Song adjusts his cap, asking who it is next to his friend, and if she knows this starved boy. The beauty grabs the guy by the hand, declaring that this is no one, and they should go. The guy isn't. Calms down. Now he has a question of principle to find out who is in front of him, so he calls for letting go. Besides, he doesn't know why he's smiling at her. The hero is covered with cold. Then, assuming that he's already in deep trouble, don't mess around. At this time, Mai Jin asks why the guy is making a big deal out of nothing again. Jin Sung looks at her with a puzzled expression, not knowing what to do. Realizing what's gotten into her, he calls her to step back for a moment. After a few moments, they return to Park Hyun-suk. The guy asks how old Tom is. The girl suggests that Tom just leave, holding onto her hand. The hero reports that he is 17, mentally emphasizing that he is very scary. Jin Sung realizes that the other person is just as old, same age as him. At this point, Mai Jin abruptly yells that it's time for them to go. The guy though, he decides not to go to the fat man, but declares that today he was very lucky. But in the end, he does not want to go to the fat man. It wouldn't happen next time, because he remembered the man's face. The beauty asks for her own. The guy doesn't behave like that on the streets. She turns to the hero with her head and only one mouth, asks for forgiveness. Park Hyun-suk comes to realize that he is saved after all, after which he notices that he has always been saved. His girls save him out of pity. Then he abruptly remembers something. In his head appears the thought that he had changed. In his memory, imagination changes the picture of reality. Now the beautiful woman smiled at him and winked, showing that she was interested in him, and the guy was acting like this because there was a girl next to him. The hero realizes that he will not change if he stays here. A few seconds later, Park Hyun-suk catches up with a couple who have already left a short distance away. He takes a deep breath, noting that he did make it. He adjusts his hair, imagining he sees himself as just an ideal of beauty, and suggests that they forget what was before and go and have a drink. The three of us have a cup of coffee. The beauty looks at him blankly. In her head, it's just. The pattern breaks, and Jin Sung steps away from the girl, adjusting his cap. He grunts, pulling his hands out of his pockets and folding them at torso level. The guy thoughtfully holds out whether they should go and have a cup of the express. Park Hyun-suk is thinking that everything has already worked, and the girl is recovering from the shock and clinging to her boyfriend. The latter calls to let him go, claiming that he will not hit. The hero raised his head to the interlocutor, realizing that he is a real giraffe. Before he knew it, a blow landed on him, on the jaw. Jin Sung loudly and clearly told the hero not to climb up to them. In the blink of an eye around, a crowd gathers around Trinity. The girl calls the guy to stop, and he just needs his knuckles on his hands, saying that he said to get out of his way. Park Hyun-suk was grabbed by the hair and told to grit her teeth. Someone from the crowd said that it was necessary. Call the police. At that moment, the fist in front of his eyes was frightening. But most of all, the hero. They were bothered by the sounds of phones taking pictures of them. In the evening, Park Hyun-suk, he was sitting at home, watching videos from social networks from his phone, where he was beaten up. Watching what was happening on the mobile screen, the guy wanted to sink through the ground. He became a real star of social networks, because under this video there were almost 70,000 of likes and 17,000 comments. Squeezed into the farthest corner, the hero began cry. What little self-confidence he had was gone without a trace. He was trembling again, starting to think of yourself as just worthless trash. Everyone in the audience laughed at him. Now he will have no friends, and his cozy nest is filled with the wind of loneliness. He sobbed and sobbed, as if that would help him get rid of his loneliness and all his problems. But it couldn't go on forever, and at some point he fell asleep. When he awoke, he began to look around, remembering that he had to go to the emergency. He hummed a song under his breath. A happy song. Went to the toilet. Mentally, he noticed that he couldn't find his glasses. It didn't matter, though, because he felt like a feather in his sleep. Park Hyun-suk looked up as he did his business in the bathroom, surprised that the ceiling was very high. Low. He quickly waved it off, thinking that he wasn't used to living here yet. Going to the sink to wash his hands, he noticed that it was too low. The hero again pushed everything to the fact that after, while crying, his eyes turned red. He decided it would be a good idea to wash out his eyes. He was expecting. He could see his eyes swollen and reddened, but his eyes shone with their clarity and clarity. It was then that the guy noticed his reflection in the mirror. Everything was perfect there. His body, it was just perfect. He was so shocked that he couldn't say a word. His thoughts, they just stopped, and the words came out haltingly. The boy staggered in shock and fell on his back. My mind was a jumble of questions and speculation. Is it a dream or something else? It's definitely his. The body. If not, then why is it hurting him? Questions and misunderstandings that came to mind. A little later, he didn't even know what to do now. Call the police or your mom. He was in a panic, crossing over all possible boundaries. And the most shocking news was that another part of him was still there. I slept soundly. He was sleeping in front of him. It was a strange picture. He was looking at his fat body from the side, while being in a well-developed and toned body. The hero went into the bathroom and turned on the light. This was the first time he'd seen this guy. Park Hyun-suk looked at it carefully. The body, realizing that this guy was really him. He peeked around the door once more, looking at me. His original body, and knowing that that one is also him. The hero focused on his feelings. He quickly came to a simple conclusion that the maturity of this body told him, this is definitely not a dream, and everything that happens is real. Looking at himself from the outside, the guy felt an all-encompassing horror. The only thing the guy can do. I could count on being alone, so this is the internet. He scored in the search engine that. However, as he expected, nothing happened that he wasn't looking for. He didn't die or go mad. The guy dialed the number 119, but he was in no hurry to call. Then I thought of my mother, but then he had a sharp idea of what would actually happen after his call. The police and hospital are one-way ticket. At least he wasn't out of his mind, and he could understand what might have happened. It could be worse. Park Hyun-suk decided not to call his mother either, considering that it was better not to tell anyone yet. To tell, he realized that the one he had to deal with wasn't him after all. The hero decides to wake him up, because if he is me, then he will believe me. And if not him, then no one. First, the guy begins to hold his thick copy with thrusts of his hands. He apologized and asked forgiveness, but the realization that he is being polite to himself and the fact that the doppelganger does not reacting made him mad. Park Hyun-suk prescribed the second body a powerful bream, after which the world around them faded. He opened his eyes, then turned his attention to his hand. The palm was Tolstoy. Park Hyun-suk thought it was a dream, and this sense of reality was nothing but a dream. In reality, his stomach felt heavy, so he decided it was time to relieve himself. Name what happened. Sleep was the easiest thing to do. The fat man closed his eyes, noticing that it was scary and at the same time, happy dream. When he convinced himself that it was a dream, he realized how deceitful he could be. A human heart. Realizing that it was time to go to the bathroom, Park Hyun-suk started to get to his feet. But then he stopped. I noticed something. This caused the pupils of his eyes to narrow to the size of needles in disbelief. What's happening? Next to him lay the perfect body he had been in for a few moments, back and snoring. The realization that this wasn't a dream came quickly enough. A chill ran down my spine, and the feeling of dread returned. With his thick hands, he first began to politely wake up the second body. Maybe it's because that he had done it before, but this time it was faster. With the help of rough thrusts, I woke up my doppelganger. The world went dark again, and then Park Hyun-suk opened his eyes in perfect condition. Phone number. The hero stared in shock at the fat man sleeping next to him. Just like that, all night long That's all I did. Didn't someone say that a person can adapt to anything? In just a couple of days, the question of bodies didn't seem out of the ordinary to him. The guy had no idea why his perfect body was born, but he decided that he would not tell anyone about it. What is important here is the following. When he sleeps, he wakes up in a different body. When one body, good-natured, the second is asleep. At the same time, when the sleepless body is going to take a nap, it wakes up in a different body. Since this body has had a great night's sleep, it doesn't feel sleepy at all. During the holidays, Park Hyun-suk discovered 4 interesting facts about his body. First of all, a sleeping body cannot wake up on its own. It is necessary to fall asleep in order to swap bodies. It doesn't matter how long it hangs over itself. Second, if he forces himself to get up, then he simultaneously forces himself to fall asleep. The body that was cheerfully standing on your feet immediately turns off. Third, the other body is still asleep, but still hungry. Other immediate needs. That is, if one body sleeps all day, it will buzz. Head will want to eat and you can still pee. Whenever he forces one of the bodies to get up, the other goes to sleep because it is tired. And when he forces it to get up, the other goes to sleep because it is tired. The other body is already full of energy. If one body does not sleep for 20 consecutive hours, then another will sleep for 20 hours straight, which will cause a feeling of hunger, health problems, etc. Health, psychological phenomena, and so on. So the sleep hours can't be too short or too long. If this happens, the body can't stand it. Ideally, live a standard shift of 12 hours a day. So how to force yourself to sleep? It is difficult at times to take note of the method of awakening the other. Fourth, to sum up all of the above, his consciousness can stay awake for all of 20 minutes, 4 hours a day. When he changes into the body of a handsome man, the brain cells are like anew. They are filled with oxygen. Park Hyun-suk was worried about the question, if one body dies, will it survive? Second, he doesn't have the courage or the incentive to do that, so there's no guarantee yet that he'll be able to do it. He'll survive, so it's better not to take any chances. Time flew by, as if running away from someone. The day came when a new school will open in front of me. Own doors. Sitting in the corner, the hero clutched his head, wondering if he should go to school at all, because, as if someone out there would understand him. Unpleasant memories kept popping up in my head, related to Tae-sung and his boyfriend. The next day, 2 girls in school uniforms are talking to each other. One of them is Seul Boma from the music section notices. Another emphasizes that today it is very beautiful. I did my hair. The blonde who seems to have stepped off the modeling runway realizes that they are. They look at him, so they already think that the second semester will definitely be his. One also notices that he's a freshman. Girls switch from this handsome guy. One says she thinks there are guys in prettier. Another replies that the one who is hot is Jang Hyun from the cosmetology section. In that, the moment a guy passes by the girlfriends, and they immediately fall silent, covering themselves. Blush. The blonde discussed earlier evaluates his appearance in the mirror as someone bumps into him. Seul Boma asks what is it. Park Hyun-suk apologizes, saying he didn't mean to. Mentally, he notices that this body is too light. The interlocutor opens his mouth in shock, while the hero nervously asks if everything is normal with him and he is not ill. After that, it goes further about. He feels like he's taller now and the world seems smaller. He wants to believe that everything is fine with him. It'll be fine. People open their mouths, whispering and muttering at the sight of him. The hero passes by 2 girls. One of them asks the other if she has seen him before, and the second quickly ends a conversation with someone on the phone, saying that he will call back later. Park Hyun-suk thinks that knowing full well that the day had come, he bought this size girl. The person who spoke on the phone runs forward. It overtakes the hero from the front. Her friend calls her, but that one, no longer interested in talking to her because she glared at the hero. While Park Hyun-suk thinks that he has chosen a universal size for this body, the beauty. He is amazed at how hot and beautiful he is. The hero mentally adds that to hope for, that they won't kill him there. In one of the classes, students are communicating. Chatter, whispers, and hubbub mingle. Someone notices that the second semester has already arrived, and a friend is amazed at how quickly time flies. A trio of guys who are more like Tae-sung are communicating with each other. 2 realize that in It was inferno in the room. One notes that, even though it's September, but on the asphalt you can at least fried eggs. The third interviewee advises two guys to lose some weight. Here one of the hooligans licks his lips. He turns to Paxil, saying that near something weak. Therefore, it would be a good idea to use the third gear. A skinny kid with glasses falls to his knees and starts waving the textbooks in his hands, creating a scene. Gusts of wind. The fat man notices that it's freshened up again. The second laughs at this, and the third. He remembers that a friend is a fan of all this. At the same time, the guy with glasses swears at these scum to himself. He feels so humiliated that, I want to die. Here one of the classmates calls the guys to stop, because it's too late. It's getting colder. But they don't even think to listen to her. One urges her to shut up, calling out, a freak, and the second one demands to cover his mouth, otherwise he carries it. At this time, Mai-jin wrapped up in a blanket. Bedsheet says she's cold. This is confirmed by the fact that her body is shaking. Her friend, who had previously been aggressive towards bullies, asks who he is anyway. He asks her to wave at Mai-jin, after which she calls the servant to turn off the fan. Hereby, a shout goes through the class that the teacher is approaching. Students immediately take their seats. The teacher takes a chair and calls everyone to silence, then announces that today is their new day. Student, not to say that those present are happy with this development, but some still have some ideas. Interest. After the teacher's permission, the hero enters the classroom. A bored face. The faces change to shocked ones. Park Hyun-suk calls out her name and asks them to. They took care of him. After that, he looks away, making a mental note of what's best. Avoid any eye contact when everyone is staring at him like that. In everyone's heads, the representative of the fair sex was spinning only one thought: what a hot guy. The teacher asked him to take an empty seat. All the students, without exception, are excited. We discussed his appearance. The girls were excited, and the guys had very anxious looks. The hero understood that this was his first day, so the main thing was not to screw up. For starters, he decides to get along with the neighbors. It's not a very pleasant experience that comes back to me. In the past, last year, when he sat down at his desk and said hello to a neighbor, he said that if he spoke to him, then he would not be able to do it. It will kill him. Park Hyun-suk sat down at a chair, smiled broadly and greeted his neighbor. His smile, it flew off quickly, and he thought about the irony of fate. His neighbor turns out to be the guy who, just recently, I beat him up. The neighbor also admits to himself that Park Hyun-suk is very beautiful and argue. It doesn't even make sense. Sitting down at his desk, the guy already thinks that he screwed up on the first day. Classmates continue to whisper among themselves. Someone even suggests that the new guy is a fashion model. Then one of the beauties decides to act. She adjusts her hair, makes a quick light gesture, makeup, and takes off her pants, remaining in a tight skirt. The girl approaches the hero's desk and she greets him. Her name is Ha-Nul. Many immediately begin to whisper among themselves. He had assumed that she would be the one to make the first move, to try to wrap him in her spell. Ha-Nul decides to play dirty, saying that Park Hyun-suk is eye-catching. At Odnaklasniki, the jaw drops from this, and she finishes them off, calling the hero handsome. The last one, he blushes, for this is the first time a girl has ever complimented him. Here's a neighbor on. Part turns to the girl, saying that she should stop lying at his feet and sit down already, because her words irritate him. The girl plays dumb, asking what Jin Sung is saying. She thought to herself, ready to tear him apart, because he disrupts her special operation to seduce the handsome man. Neighbor. He notices from his desk that he just can't stand this scum. Then the kid turns around, feeling the pain in his chest. Imagine a strange look from the outside. The beauty stares at him, blushing and mentally guessing that Mai-jin is gay. The guy turns back to the hero, understanding everything in a glance, and only with one glance tries to burn a hole in it, mentally noting that the transferred student is a real asshole. That look made Park Hyun-suk uneasy. His new school is a higher integrated educational institution. In connection with the email address, the education was professional and technical, as close as possible to the working conditions, rather than the usual university style. Because of the specifics of the school's policy, it spread terror on representatives of other schools. In addition, it was said that it was here that you could meet a lot of students who are famous coaches, idols, models, and others. Time flew by and lunch arrived. The hero went to the dining room. The girl did not lag behind from it, clinging worse than a tick. She asked him what kind of food he preferred. A crowd of students with shock watched the newcomer, while everyone was taken aback by Park Hyun-suk's appearance, the same. He was just glad that he could take his own plate instead of running like a boy to the kitchen, running errands, carrying it to someone. Today, a new star appeared in the school sky along with a restless woman. The guys didn't stay away either. One of them approached the hero when he was eating and said that they had a conversation, so they should meet in the afternoon. At this point, the guy was ready to fall through the ground. After a while, Park Hyun-suk went outside, breaking out in a cold sweat. Current version. The surroundings were awfully familiar. How many times had his ass been poked in these places? Doorways, already not to count. The overweight bully who had previously bullied his classmates decides to find out, so in nature they call him Han-seok. The hero is very scared, and he remembers that. After buying this uniform, I don't have a penny in my pockets. Then the guys start to smile abruptly. One, she hands him a pack of cigarettes, offering them to smoke together. One asks where he came from. Another marvels at the newcomer's height, calling him a giraffe. It turns out that they believe that he was transferred because he made a big fuss somewhere. Someone even asks to check out his shoulders, assuming that the hero is engaged in sports. Chief of the hooligans. He notices that the girls are still hanging around him, so it would be nice if I introduced you to a couple of them. Park Hyun-suk is trying to figure out what to do as they watch. Look at him like he's trash if he says he doesn't smoke. Here the hero abruptly becomes serious, saying that he had given up smoking. This surprises smokers a bit, but then it does. A murderous look, claiming that women are not common, by the faces of the interlocutors, dripping droplets of cold sweat, and they really get scared. The guy says goodbye, deciding that we need to get out of here faster, and the hooligan thinks that he is new and skilled in wrestling.